So what was the crisis that brought you into relationship with Jesus?
Well, I had 10 years serving as a Jehovah's Witness, and anybody who knows anything about the group, you're busy, super busy. There's not a day that goes by where you're not involved somehow with the group.
Mm-hmm.
And I burnt out. I mean, I was exhausted mentally, physically. I reached this point of exhaustion because you're trying to serve a God, an organization, but you feel like a sponge that's been wrung out, and there's not a drop left in you. That's how I felt.
Thank you, Reverend Wright, Jason Wright. We've had a conversation, and you've explained a little bit about Reach Out Trust and what it does, and that was great and very helpful to me, so thank you for that. And how Reach Out Trust has a very specialist ministry in teaching Christians about Christian-like cults, in particular Christian-like cults and other, we would say, false teachings that seem to mimic Christianity in one way or another. And part of that is apologetics and helping Christians to be able to respond to challenges from outside. I wanted to turn our conversation now a little bit towards yourself. So I've got 3 basic questions for you, Jason, which is 1, who are you? Number 2, what do you do? And number 3, what was the crisis that brought you into relationship with Jesus? So first of all, who are you and what do you do, Jason?
Okay, well, you know my name, so that's a good start. I am an ordained minister, a nonconformist tradition, and I served Born Evangelical Church in Lincolnshire, South Lincolnshire, for 10 years. I studied theology through King's Evangelical Divinity School. I earned my BA and MA and was accredited by Chester University. And currently I am studying for my PhD. So my PhD research involves, my thesis is the hermeneutics of the Watchtower.
Hermeneutics. Now that's a powerful word. What does it mean?
It's interpretation. Hermeneutics is the skill or the art of interpretation. We're interpreting each other, and people watching are interpreting, but it's interpreting the sacred text, and different methodologies, different approaches to the sacred text will create or bring about different meaning. And so I'm interested in, how do the Jehovah's Witnesses read the Bible? What is their hermeneutic? What is their methodology? And how do they arrive at meaning?
So it gives us a sense of their worldview.
That's right.
Perhaps,
Yeah.
In a very definite sense. Okay. Well, let's turn to your journey into Christian life. So, what was the crisis that brought you into relationship with Jesus?
Well, I had 10 years serving as a Jehovah's Witness, and anybody who knows anything about the group, you're busy, super busy. There's not a day that goes by where you're not involved somehow with the group. And I burnt out. I mean, I was exhausted mentally, physically. I reached this point of exhaustion because you're trying to serve a God, an organization, but you feel like a sponge that's been wrung out, and there's not a drop left in you. That's how I felt. And there was also the fact that you don't have a voice. There's no autonomy. I couldn't sort of express myself. So that brought me to this point of doubts, and saw people marginalized. That's another important point, where individuals who don't meet the criteria are put on the outside, can be even disfellowshipped. It was just a crisis moment. We saw, my wife was experiencing the same. Yeah.
So you both approached the crisis point at the same time.
Yeah, we did.
And through similar experiences. So you're not actually left with much time to draw breath.
No.
So you're constantly on a treadmill. Would that be a fair way of putting it?
Yeah, that's right. So it's this treadmill. Some people can live it habitually. But of course, once I stepped back and me and my wife decided we need time out, that's when I began to have further doubts and was able to begin to, without all the baggage, revisit the New Testament, revisit the Bible, and begin to explore again, free of those influences, Christianity.
Yeah. So in a sense, just you and God. We could
Absolutely.
Say. That'd be one way of putting it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've lived the reality then of being, and I'm going to use this phrase, a prisoner of a particular mindset or a particular cultic environment. But you recognise that you needed to break free and to find new life in Jesus. And you actually found that new life in Jesus. Was there a particular date that happened? Or was there a sort of magic moment to it, or was it a slow process, would you say?
There was a process, I think, because I'm more analytical. I was interested in doctrine and theology, so there was that process of unraveling who Jesus was. I remember a minister, evangelistic guy on the street saying to me, "I hope you find the real Jesus," and that was my first stepping stone, really, to pray to Jehovah, because I didn't know who to pray to, really. Help me find the real Jesus. And as I went through the New Testament, I began to see that the man Jesus was more than a man, and that this was actually what Christianity had said all along, was God in the flesh. So it was those incremental steps that brought me to the place of saving faith. By the time I got to Romans, I could see that it wasn't about works or even belonging to a religion. It was about knowing Jesus. And it was about believing in his death, burial, and resurrection. It was that it was being saved by grace, not by works. Those things that brought me to saving faith. And there were Christians that came alongside to help me to unpack things and unravel things. And I left first, and my wife left. Slightly afterwards. But I always remember. I'll just say this. I set out a letter to the Kingdom Hall to explain why we were leaving. And I remember sitting the family down. It was a 35-page thesis on...
Quite a letter.
It was quite a letter, which I didn't get a response to. But I sat the family down and said, "This is why we're leaving." And we read through it. Yeah.
Well, bless you. So quite a story. Again, Jason, thank you very much. We'll talk in more detail about the Jehovah's Witnesses in a subsequent discussion. Thank you.